How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, December 10th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Thursday, December 9th, 2021. And of course, just to take a quick step back and look at where we are in the calendar year, with baseball being over, we have not that many football games left in the year, as we have about a month of NFL football and about less than that of college football left. But in terms of basketball, the college football and the NBA seasons are underway for the next few months. And taking a look at what's going on with soccer, yesterday was the final matchup of Champions League play, as we are officially at the halfway point for Champions League, and we are approaching the halfway point for a lot of the domestic leagues in Europe. But with that said, I'm going to start it off by taking a look at what's going on with college basketball at the moment, starting with the number one ranked team in the nation. The Purdue Boilermakers faced off against the unranked Rutgers Scarlet Knights, and unranked Rutgers would end up knocking off the number one team in the nation, beating Purdue 70-68 after they outscored Purdue by 1 point in each half. On the losing end of this matchup, the first-ranked Purdue Boilermakers were led in scoring by their forward off the bench, Travion Williams out of Chicago. He will go on to finish with 21 points and 11 rebounds in 24 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the unranked Scarlet Knights were led in scoring by their starting forward, Ron Harper Jr. He finished with 30 points, 10 rebounds in 37 minutes, as he shot 10 for 15 from the field, 5 for 7 from three, and he shot a perfect 5 for 5 from the field, including making the game-winning shot. With this win, the unranked Rutgers Scarlet Knights are 5-4, as they are 1-1 in the Big Ten. With this loss, the first-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are 8-1. They are 1-1 in the Big Ten as well. Looking at the fifth-ranked team in the nation, the Gonzaga Bulldogs hosted the unranked Merrimack Warriors. Gonzaga would end up beating Merrimack 80-55, winning this game by 25 after they outscored Merrimack by 11 in the first half and by 14 in the second. On the winning end, the Gonzaga Bulldogs were led in scoring by their starting forward, Drew Timme. Their junior out of Texas will go on to finish with 22 points and 7 rebounds in 27 minutes, as he shot a perfect 8 for 8 from the field, and he shot 6 for 9 from the foul line. With this win, the fifth-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs are 8-2 on the season, and with this loss, unranked Merrimack is 4-7. Looking at the seventh-ranked team in the nation, the Texas Longhorns faced off against the 23rd ranked Seton Hall Pirates at Seton Hall. Seton Hall would end up beating Texas 64-60 as they outscored Texas by 4 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the 7th ranked Longhorns were led in scoring by their starting forward, Trey Mitchell. Their junior out of Pittsburgh would go on to finish with 14 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field, and he made his only free throw. On the winning end of this matchup, the 23rd ranked Seton Hall Pirates were led by their senior starting guard out of Baldwin, New York, Jared Rhoden. He finished with 18 points and 5 rebounds in 36 minutes. He will go on to shoot 7 for 18 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the 23rd ranked Seton Hall Pirates are 8-1. With this loss, the 7th ranked Texas Longhorns are 6-2. Last but not least, looking at the 17th ranked team in the nation, the Iowa State Cyclones hosted the unranked Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa State would end up being Iowa 73-53 as they outscored the Hawkeyes by 12 in the first half and by 8 in the second. On the winning end of this matchup, the 17th ranked Cyclones were led in scoring by their starting guard, Isaiah Brockington, out of Philadelphia. Isaiah Brockington will go on to finish with 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 11 for 14 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the 17th ranked Iowa State Cyclones are still undefeated. They are 9-0. With this loss, the unranked Iowa Hawkeyes are 7-3 on their collegiate basketball season. Taking a look at what's going on at the pro level, starting off in the NFL, the lone game from week 4, the first matchup from week 14 took place in Minneapolis as the Minnesota Vikings hosted the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Vikings would end up beating the Steelers 36-28. They shut the Steelers out 23-0 in the first half. The Steelers would outscore the Vikings 28 to 15 in the second half, but it just wouldn't be close to enough. On the losing end of this matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers were led by their elite starting quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. He would complete 28 of his 40 passes as he threw for 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, as he also had 5 yards on the ground. He had 313 total yards of offense. The Steelers' leading rusher, Najee Harris, had 20 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown on the ground. He had 3 receptions for 10 yards and a receiving touchdown through the air, so that's 104 total yards of offense and 2 touchdowns from scrimmage. Their leading receiver, Chase Claypool, had 8 receptions for 93 yards. Their second leading receiver, Deontay Johnson, had 5 receptions for 76 yards. Their third leading receiver, James Washington, had 4 receptions for 65 yards as he had one of the team's 3 receiving touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, Devin Bush would lead the team in tackles as he had 8 of them. And Akelo Witherspoon would go on to finish with 4 tackles as he also finished with both of the team's interceptions. On the winning end of this matchup, the Minnesota Vikings were led by their starting quarterback out of Michigan State, Kirk Cousins. Cousins threw for 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. He also had 14 yards on the ground, so he had 230 total yards of offense. Minnesota's leading rusher was their elite running back out of Florida State, Dalvin Cook. He had 27 carries for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had a 17-yard reception through the air, so that's 222 total yards of offense. The Vikings' leading receiver was KJ Osborne. He had 3 receptions for 83 yards as he had a receiving touchdown. Their second leading receiver was their elite wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. He had 7 receptions for 79 yards as he had the other receiving touchdown. On the defensive side of the ball, Eric Kendricks had 11 tackles, leading the team as he had a sack for himself. Their elite safety, Harrison Smith, would go on to finish with 5 tackles as he had a sack as well. And then Brashad Breeland would have the team's lone interception as he had it alongside 8 tackles. With this win, the Minnesota Vikings are now 6-7 on the season. And with this loss, the Pittsburgh Steelers are now 6-1 on the NFL season. So right now, that concludes the Thursday matchup for the NFL. And taking a look at what went down in the NBA, starting off in Philadelphia, the 76ers hosted the Utah Jazz, and the Jazz would beat the Sixers 118-96. The Jazz would beat the Sixers by 22 points after they outscored the Sixers by 12 in the first half and by 12 in the second quarter and by an additional 15 in the second half. On the losing end, the Sixers were led in scoring by their elite starting center out of Kansas, Joel Embiid. He will go on to finish with 19 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals in 30 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Utah Jazz were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell. He finished with 22 points and 6 assists, as well as 2 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, and he made one of his 2 free throw attempts of the night. Their elite starting center out of France, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 17 points and 21 rebounds alongside 2 blocks in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field, and he shot 5 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are now 18-7. With this loss, the Philadelphia 76ers are now 14-12 on the season. Taking you to Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies hosted the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Grizzlies were able to beat the Lakers 108-95. They won this matchup by 13 points after they outscored the Lakers by 10 in the second quarter, and they outscored them by 7 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Lakers were led in scoring by their elite starting power forward out of Kentucky, Anthony Davis. He finished with 22 points and 8 rebounds in 38 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their goated starting small forward, LeBron James, would finish with 20 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks, and 5 turnovers in 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their goated starting point guard, Russell Westbrook, finished with 9 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 6 turnovers in 33 minutes as he shot 3 for 9 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 1 for 4 from the foul line. On the winning end of this matchup, the Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Jaren Jackson Jr. Jackson finished with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in 29 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard, Desmond Bane, finished with 23 points and 2 steals in 31 minutes. Bane shot 9 for 20 from the field and 5 for 11 from 3. With this win, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 15-11. With this loss, the Los Angeles Lakers are now 13-13 on the season. Last but not least, jumping out to San Antonio, the Spurs hosted the Nuggets, and they were able to pull off a 123-111 win. They would win this matchup by 12 after they outscored the Nuggets by 8 points in the first quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by their starting power forward out of Arizona, Aaron Gordon. He finished with 25 points and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 9 for 12 from the field and 7 for 8 from the foul line. The reigning NBA MVP, the Nuggets' elite starting center, Nikola Jokic, finished with 22 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Antonio Spurs were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Derek White. White would finish with 23 points and 6 rebounds, as well as 2 blocks in 35 minutes. He finished shooting 9 for 14 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their shooting guard off the bench, Lonnie Walker IV, would finish with 21 points in 26 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. Their starting point guard, DeJounte Murray, finished with 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 35 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the San Antonio Spurs are now 9-15 on the year. With this loss, the Denver Nuggets are now 12-13. That is how the NBA is shaping up. Taking a look at what's going on in soccer, looking at the last Champions League matchup, looking at the last matchup from Group F, Villarreal will go to Italy to face off against Atalanta, and Villarreal would end up winning this matchup 3-2, scoring all 3 of their goals before Atalanta scored both of their 2. With this win, the reigning Europa League champs they have earned a spot in the round of 16 for Champions League alongside Manchester United, and Atalanta will be the 8th team that will be knocked down to the Europa League play-in matchups. But right now, that is how European soccer is looking following yesterday's matchups. And with that said, I want to thank the NCAA, the NFL, NBA, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I needed. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 13 minutes of this piece as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are over, I will come back tomorrow on Saturday, December 11th for another episode of The Elite. And until then, I want to thank everyone once again. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another piece tomorrow. Peace out.